This Icon podcast is hosted and sponsored by Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants, a leading provider for your virtual assistants and outsourcing needs. Owned by one of the top-ranking EXP agents, Justin Nelson. Sphere Rocket VA provides a one-stop virtual staffing solution for business owners, and we specialize in helping business owners grow their business by leveraging through virtual assistants. Trusted by the top names in the real estate industry like Kyle Whistle, Andrew Franklin, John Kitchens, and many more. Get ready to up your success and we'll help you achieve your business goals. Book your free consultation at sphererocketva.com and find out how we can make your life easier.
Welcome back to another episode of the Icon Podcast. I'm your host, Gianna Norton, and today we have Cindy Joseph joining us. Cindy, welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, it's our pleasure. So take us all the way to the beginning of your real estate journey. How did you come across it? When did you get started? And, what drew your interest to it? Where are you currently located? Tell us all about Cindy Joseph.
Awesome. Great question. So actually, I just kind of fell into real estate. It really wasn't anything that I had ever envisioned doing. I actually had worked at the University of Phoenix as a director of enrollment, and I was like, man, I need to get, something going different with my life. I need to be able to have a little bit more freedom, flexibility. So my husband said, why not real estate? And I'm like, real estate? What? I don't want to be a realtor. Like, no way. But actually 9 years ago, yesterday, I had passed my exam here in Texas and started at, the one that everyone starts at, KW. Did that for about a year until I realized, oh my gosh, there's so many other things out there. So after that, I actually moved ship to a small kind of boutique brokerage and was there for, about 7 years, and then decided to start, kind of branching out and looking at different opportunities. So I had, several folks that had great things to say about EXP reach out to me, and I've been now here for, almost 18 months. So no looking back, super excited.
18 months, already an Icon Award winner, and on a podcast. That's great, Cindy. That's awesome. So you're located in Texas then?
Yes, I'm in Texas. So I'm in Dallas. I service, and I have a team. So we service really the North Dallas area. So like Plano, Frisco, McKinney, kind of where everyone's moving to. So
That's awesome. We've got an event coming up in Dallas, and I will have to reach out to you so that we can get connected. Okay.
Yes,
we'll circle back to that in a few, but you moved to EXP about 18 months ago. You said you had started off at KW like many do. What encouraged you to make that jump to EXP? Was there something that really stood out to you? Were you at another brokerage at the time? Were you kind of running your own show? Give me the laydown of that, because it is hard to make a move, especially when you're putting out high production.
Yeah.
So how did that process look for you?
Yeah, so for me, I had at my former brokerage, I had the #1 team in the country. So we were producing at a very, very high level. And, at the time, I really was not planning on leaving. And then, one of the amazing agents that are with EXP down in Houston, I'll throw out a shot, Trisha Turner. She reached out to me. We're on a American Dream TV show together, and she just started chatting a little bit about, hey, have you thought about EXP? And I'm like, what? Like, no. So I think at that time, it just opened my eyes, and I started looking and kind of peeling back the layers and looking at all the resources that were available. And these were things that I was paying for, I was paying for a CRM. I was paying for, all my marketing, all my, print media, whatever. I was paying all of that. And so when I discovered EXP and started to kind of venture into the world, I was like, wow, there's 80 hours of live training weekly that I don't necessarily have to train my team on every single week. And it just really opened up my eyes to something bigger. And I was like, I need to think and work smarter and not so much harder, because, even at 9 years in the business, it gets, challenging, and you get tired. And, I started thinking about long-term gain and future. And, I thought I need to look at something that's going to help me down the road and my family, and not necessarily so much these big box brokerages at the time. So.
Yeah, so you were looking for a long-term plan, something that you would pour yourself into and it would pay off in the end. It wasn't all going down the drain, kind of like investing in a home, right? You're not throwing away money in rent. You're investing in yourself. You're investing in your future. And that's kind of what EXP is all about too. But I did want to circle back before the next question. You were on a TV show?
I was. It's funny because whenever I talked about it, I think when I first did it, I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I'm going to be on a television show, like this reality show. It wasn't like that. It was called The American Dream, and I was one of the cast members out of Dallas. And although it was tons of fun, it wasn't, it was great. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the experience. I am actually on there. They were streaming. So it's on like Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. So it was on that. It was on certain channels. But I did it for almost 2 years. So
tell me the name of that show again.
It's called The American Dream. So if you go, let's say you're on Roku and you type in American Dream, it's going to bring up all of the cities, like the big cities across the country. And I was on the Dallas show. So, and my friend Trisha Turner is in Houston, and we've had a few other folks that are with EXP out of Nashville. So it was fun. It was different.
I'm going to watch it. Because I'm located myself personally in Nashville too, so I'll have to check that out because I had not heard of such a thing.
That's where the Nelsons are at. So Jay and Ashley Nelson. I don't know if you've ever spoken with them, but they're amazing agents, and they are on the show out of Nashville. So small world.
You've given me a homework assignment this weekend, Cindy. I'll be checking that show out. So, circling back to EXP, your journey over there, you said that you jumped on board because it seemed to have the structure for a long-term plan. You were investing in your future, investing in your brand, and you would have that equity in yourself years to come. So is that still the number one reason you're at EXP, or after making that jump, did you fall in love with something else they had to offer? Because they've got revenue shares, stock options, collaboration, masterminds, and so much more. So did you come for that but fall in love with something else?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, when I joined, they talked about the rev share, and, they talked about all these masterminds, and you get to meet and collaborate with people all over the country. And for me, I was like, okay, that's a plus, a perk. And then when I went to Cabo, this was not, I don't think they went yet. So the one last year when I went, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a totally different world. And I was able to meet people and hear their stories and sit down with them. And I was like, oh my gosh, these people are unbelievable. I'm like, there's no magic pill though. I was like, I can do this. Like, there's no reason why, I can't talk to other people about what's important to them and what their goals are and their dreams, and, find a way and a path to help them get there. So that to me in Cabo was kind of like the pinnacle and the eye-opening event. And I was all bought in then. I was like, okay, this is where I'm going to be. So I'd say that agent attraction has been huge. I'm still obviously, a baby in it, working in that space. But I also think the mastermind sessions are, they're priceless. I was in Vegas and I got to meet with some amazing people. I actually met, Justin probably doesn't remember, but I met with Justin and a big group of folks in one of the suites. And to me, that was actually my favorite session because we had a very small, intimate group. And I learned so much in that hour from those 20 people in there than I had in like 7 years. At my former brokerage, I was like taking notes and recording everything on my phone. And I was like, yep, this is where I need to be because I can continue to learn and grow. And I always felt like, oh yeah, I know so much about real estate. And then when I joined EXP, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like this baby. Like I am a baby, and I'm humble to say I'm constantly learning. So,
and they say if you're the smartest person in the room, that you're in the wrong room.
That's right.
So that's really cool that came to you in, Cabo and these masterminds, but it wasn't in a way that you were embarrassed. It was in a way that you were like, there's so much more to learn. Mm-hmm. And the EXP certainly has the resources to offer for that. So other than starring in TV shows in your spare time, obviously you've got high production. And so you're working hard. You're always busy. what do you do personally to support your emotional health, that work-life balance, and kind of deal with the stress with all the spinning gears it comes to when it's working in real estate?
Yeah, that's such a great question, because I think when you get into real estate, you can find that your entire life is driven 24/7 by answering phones, servicing clients, going here, going there, showings, listing appointments, marketing. And, you take a step back and you're like, oh my gosh, the things that are most important, which is, your family and your health and God, those things all kind of take a back seat. And for me, I will say for the first several years of real estate, they did. Like, I stopped taking care of myself. I was always like, go, 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 go. And it was like somebody would text me at, 11 o'clock at night and I'm responding. My husband's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I need this sale. I need this deal. And, I think for some, maybe that's just their mindset, that's their hustle. But for me, I was like, I've got to figure this out. So now in the last, since joining EXP, and I'd say even a little bit before then, I started to recognize that. So now I'm taking care of me, taking care of, the things that are most important. So I'm, doing things that I love. So I do kickboxing too. So that's a passion of mine. So I'm not like an expert. I'm not fighting anybody.
That's still cool, Cindy.
But I do
kickboxing queen.
I actually, I'm a Zumba instructor. So although I'm not going to Zumba on this podcast, that is something that I'm very, very passionate about.
Okay, your next episode, we're going to get our own Zumba jam. Okay.
We can totally do that. I was like, I love Zumba. So anyone that follows me on social media, they're like, yeah, she's always posting dance videos, and me and all my friends. So I do try to stay active, making better choices, just, taking care of your mind. I think that, the mind is a powerful thing, and we can really, go down different paths if we're not, having positive thoughts and sending out positive vibes. And, so anyways, that's what I've been doing, and it's been working. My production is actually, since joining EXP, my production actually has tripled. So not double, but tripled. And I'm still able to do the things that I enjoy doing. I'm still able to travel. We're going to Puerto Rico in a couple of weeks, and then going to Mexico like 2 weeks later. So I'm loving life.
A busy lady. That's awesome, Cindy. And you said that your production has tripled just from taking a step back and making sure to invest in yourself, mentally, emotionally, physically, in setting out those positive vibes.
Yes.
And I can tell you're just a ray of sunshine.
Thank you.
Come on.
Thank you.
Of course. Well, I am going to be expecting a Zumba choreographed episode next time. Be looking for an email from me. I'll be ready for it. I'll have the whole Spear Rocket staff ready for it. Maybe a special edition.
Yes.
But like you said, your production is high. Your production has increased up to 3 times.
Right.
And you're on the Icon podcast, which means you're an Icon Award winner, and you were awarded for your high production, good culture, speaking, etc.
Yep.
So for those out there that are wondering, can you kind of explain in your words what that Icon Award is, how much production you had to do to get to it, and what that award means to you and for your team?
Yeah, that's another good question. Tons of great questions. When I made the switch over to EXP, I didn't really know anything about it. Like, I heard, hey, Icon, and I was like, oh, that's cool. What is it again? I didn't. So like my first, so I Iconed in 8 months. No, actually 9 months. In 9 months. But I wasn't like, it's crazy. People that are watching this are like, what? But I wasn't tracking anything. I wasn't like with my board, and I was just helping people, helping buyers, helping sellers, having fun with what I'm doing. I work 100% on referrals now. I'm very proud to say that all my business is 100% referrals. So, I wasn't really tracking it, but then when I got closer, I was getting text messages from some of the people that, I chat with on a regular basis. And they're like, oh my gosh, Cindy, you're just about to hit Icon. Like, are you going to Vegas? I'm like, what? Like, what? Why? And they're like, because, if you go to Vegas, then, there's some extra things, incentives. And so anyways, I wasn't tracking it. I hit it, production wise. So I think, for me, it took me, our price point, it varies. I had, I'd say my average price point here in Dallas was like mid 300s. So, I hit my $16,000 cap relatively fast. I want to say, I think I hit that in like April. So like in 4 months. And then after that, I had a month or two that I just didn't have much going on. And then things start really picking up and I had that momentum going. And then within the next, like 4.5 months, I reached my icon status. So once you cap, then of course it's an additional 20 deals. So for me, once I started to kind of see that and I was getting messages, then I was tracking. I was like, oh, I'm at 15. Now I'm at 16, 17, 18. Like, oh, I got this, like 2 more, And so it was really, kind of motivational or, motivating me to see that it was so close. And I tell that to people that I talk to all the time. I'm like, it's not hard to do. Do you have to work? Yes. Do you have to, meet with, buyers and sellers? Yes, you do. But you can absolutely hit that goal if that's something that's important to you. And for me, it was, because I was like, that's kind of like the pinnacle to say, you know what, this is the goal. I'm in this small percentage of agents and I will consistently hit it every year. So I'm excited about that.
As you should be. That's a really cool accomplishment. And what benefits would you say it's brought to you as like an agent or as to your team that, you're an icon status, you can hit that status?
Yeah. So for me, a couple of things. Well, personally, it's great because all the money that I paid, even though I'm glad that I was able to pay, my contribution, right? I'm all about that. Once I hit that 16,000, I was like, that's good. I hit my contribution. I'm good. But the nice thing is when you become icon, then you could start earning that back. So 8,000 of it I earned back immediately. I was like, oh, wow, this is pretty cool. So I just contributed 8,000. So then after that, I went to, Vegas and, I'm going to go to, the shareholders. So then I'm getting $4 more thousand back. So then the rest of it, it's through just being a part of the culture and doing trainings or mentoring an employee. So for me, I'm like, I do that all day, every day. So for me, I was like, yep, I'll absolutely do some training in the world. That's what I love to do. So, in a sense, everything that I actually paid in, I'm actually getting back. And, it's in the form of stock. Right. And although, the market goes up and down, I'm looking at this as a very long term, game for me. It's not a short game. It's a long game for me. So I'm excited about the future of what that is. And it helps also when I'm talking with other agents, when they're reaching out to me through social media and like, hey, your icon, what did it take? So it just kind of gives you another sense of, credibility, so to speak, and it's helped me to attract some agents that are now in my organization. So
that's fabulous. And like you said, it attracts people, it benefits you. And again, that long-term plan, stock options, yes, please.
Yes.
So,
thank you.
Of course. So for people that are listening right now that maybe just jumped onto the EXP train, what would you have to say to them about maybe reaching icon this year? And is it within their reach? Is that something that they should strive for? Should they worry about other things? Just a few sentences to those maybe curious about the award in their first year.
Yeah, I would say, set the bar high and go for it. Just every day you have to have a plan. That's one of the things that I talk to my team about every day is having a plan in place and following through on your plan. So you have to prospect. So whatever it is that is important to you. So if you're like, hey, I want to be an icon agent, put a plan in place on what it's going to take to get you there and then stick with it, commit to it. That was one of the things that I've learned when I made the switch to EXP is that word commitment. It's not a goal. Like I don't really talk about goals. I talk about commitments. This is what I'm committed to doing. And this is my plan of action to get there. So I would say if that's something that's important to you, then go for it. Put a plan in place and then surround yourself with other positive people, other mentors that you can learn from. That's the one great thing I love about EXP is you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You know what? Reach out to people like Justin. I mean, there's so many amazing people that are so incredibly brilliant that I'm like, I don't have to think about this. I don't have to think about this. I just have to reach out and I have to be committed to making it happen. So I'd say if it's important to you, go for it. Don't don't tell yourself you can't do it, right? Because your mindset controls so many things. So if it's something that's important, you can do it.
You're absolutely right, Cindy. And to bring us to our final question, you know, at one point you were with a different brokerage, you were on the outside looking in, and I'm sure at some point you were skeptical as well. Like, this is too good to be true. There's a pyramid scheme here. I don't know what these agents are thinking. For those that are on the outside looking in and they see the greener grass, but they're skeptical, what do you have to say to them, you know, to get them to at least agree to a coffee to hear us out about how great EXP is?
Yeah, no, that is a phenomenal question, because I'd say for myself, I initially kind of thought, that sounds like too good. Like, really? Can you really do that? I mean, I think all of us have watched Brent Gove's, you know, unexplained video, and you see it and you're like, wow, this is unbelievable. But then you sit back and you're like, oh yeah, this is probably like, you know, 0.5% of people do this, right? It's not going to happen. You know, for me, when I did decide to make the move, I sat down with Michael Reese and with Woods Davis and Trisha Turner. And, you know, they said to me, what's the worst thing that could happen? Right? The worst thing that could happen is you're like, it wasn't for me, and I'm going to go back to what I was doing before. But what's the best thing that could happen? The best thing that could happen is you could change your life. You could impact the lives of your family and your friends and your agents. And I looked at it like, if I can make a difference not only in my life, but in the agents that work for me and that are relying on me in a sense for them to, you know, be able to contribute and be that breadwinner for their family, I was like, I owe it to them. I owe it to myself. I owe it to them. And I thought, if it doesn't work, you know what? I'll say, hey, I tried it out, and I'm going to be okay, and I'm going to eat some humble pie, and I'll backpedal. But when I got into it, I'll tell you, it took me just a short time, and then making that trip to Cabo, I was like, I'm in. Like, do I need that tattoo? I'm a honey badger. So Victor has the honey badger tattoo. Hold on. I think it is right here. I better not do that.
I think you should, actually. Next time we talk, Cindy, I need Zumba choreography, honey badger tattoo, and
I love it.
Kickboxing. Okay.
There you go. Some things to strive for. So next time, hopefully, I'll get to meet you, and then we'll have to do some Zumba and just hang out. So, but I know that.
Yeah, like I said, I'll be visiting Dallas coming up, so I'm gonna hold you to all of these things, Cindy. You're first on my list. Well, that wraps up all the questions that I have for you today. But did you have anything else that you'd like to add? Of course, for those watching, if they're curious about EXP, if they are looking for a mentor, or just somebody to have a quick chat about EXP with, reach out to Cindy. That's what we're here for. That's what our whole EXP metaverse is for, is that mentorship, that coaching, and that collaboration.
Absolutely. I love it, Gianna. And I tell that to people too when I talk to them. I'm like, hey, what's the worst thing? You know, let's grab a cup of coffee. Coffee's on me. So if you like coffee or tea or a smoothie, I'm like, you know what? And I tell people, I think I'm a pretty nice person. So, hey, you can spend 30 minutes with me, and, you know, and at the end of the day, we can part and still, you know, be friends. But yeah, I think for anybody that's watching this and is just a little bit curious, you know what, reach out, whether it's me or it's someone else that you've seen on social media or someone that you know in your circle, and you owe it to yourself to at least find out info. Maybe it will work for you, maybe it won't. I can tell you it's working for a lot of us though. So I'm very blessed.
Absolutely. Cindy, thank you so much for your time today. And we'll see you on your own spin-off episode of Zumba, kickboxing, TV features, and honey badger tattoos.
Yeah.
All right.
Hold me to the tattoo.
I think that's going to be number one on our list.
It was a pleasure.
Cindy, thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.